XY scatter diagram. This is going to be simple and very interesting and powerful. Today is going to be very simple and yet powerful. Okay. So XY scatter diagram, that is something like that. How many of you know this? Just type KNOW in the chat box if you know this XY scatter diagrams. Good. Okay, some of you don't know, that's fine. All right. Now, a scatter diagram is a visual tool that helps analyze the relationship between two variables, okay, in the process, like X and Y. And these are all two continuous variables, okay? Now, the purpose of is to understand the correlation between factors, okay? And this is used in statistical analysis, correlation, and regression modeling. Example is, I'm asking a question, does temperature increase over time? Yes or no? Does temperature increase over time? Let's see some answers in the chat box. Okay. Does higher salary lead to higher productivity? Does higher salary lead to higher productivity? Okay, there are yes and no answers. Okay, there are yes and no answers. That's okay. That's okay. Now, the question here is, how many of you are married here? Type M in the chat box if you're married. And how many of you are still bachelors? Type B in the chat box. Okay, there are some bachelors. Okay. Okay, how many of you, I want a sincere answer now. How many of you have girlfriends? Type GF in the chat box. All right, okay. Just for fun, okay. I wanted to understand now, the mood of your wife depends upon your nature when you go from office to home. How many of you agree with this? If you go with a positive note, your wife mood is something, but if you go with a negative attitude or nature or you carry work stress, okay? So the mood is depending upon how you behave. Agreed? Okay. So there is a relationship between the way that you communicate and the mood of your wife or a girlfriend. Okay. So these are all two variables and there is a relationship between them. And this is called XY scatter diagrams. Okay. Now let's go a little deeper, understanding correlation. So if you are happy and if your wife is also happy, then it is called strong positive correlation. Okay, all of you type SPC in the chat box, strong positive correlation. You are also happy. Wife is also happy. And your happiness increases, wife happiness increases. Okay, so strongly positive correlated. Okay, now strong negative correlation is you get more salary and your colleague is more sad. Okay. How many of you can relate to this? Type ICR, I can relate in the chat box. Some people are envious about your payment increase, right? You get more salary and your colleague is, the level of sadness increases or he's in a low mood. Okay. So strongly negatively correlated. Okay. This is increasing. You are happy and he is sad. You are happy and he is sad. The more happy you are, the more sad he is. But sometimes what happens is the climate in Antarctica, if you're in India, if the climate is very cold there, in Bangalore I'm sitting, it doesn't matter to me. Agreed? Type agreed in the chat box. So there is no correlation between what is the climate in Antarctica with respect to the mood that I feel in Bangalore, in India, sitting here. So this is So there are different types of correlation. One is strong positive correlation, strong negative correlation, weak positive correlation, weak negative correlation, moderate negative correlation, and no correlation. Okay. If this is clear so far, type SC, super clear in the chat box. So the type of correlation is positive correlation. When one variable increases, the other also increases. Negative correlation is when one increases, the other decreases. And no correlation means no visible relationship between the variables. Example, higher crime rates correlate with low income levels in some geographic areas. But this is not always true, but it can be related to some extent. How many of you agree with this? Higher crime rates sometimes in some countries relate to the low income levels because people are not getting paid, people don't get good salaries, they don't get good jobs, so crime rate increases. So this is called correlation. But you should remember one thing. Correlation does not mean causation. Correlation does not mean causation. Yeah, Francosis, you can read out all the other things also, moderate and all that stuff. Okay, strong, moderate, weak, no correlation, all that. So correlation coefficient, the number is between 0 and 1. All of you type 0 to 1. Sorry, minus 1 to plus 1. Minus 1 to plus 1. I'm sorry, minus 1 to plus 1. Minus 1 to plus 1. Minus 1 is, that is also a strong correlation, but negative. Plus 1 is, that is also a strong correlation, but on the positive. 0 is no correlation. Okay. And somewhere 0.5, 0.5 is moderate and starting to weak. Minus 1 to plus 1. Okay. Now, I wanted to drive a concept which says correlation does not mean causation. Okay. What do I mean by this? Suppose if you take year 2000, 2001, 2003, 2002, 2003, for 10 years. And for 10 years, you see number of bars increasing or number of churches increasing. In 2001, there were 10 churches, and 2002, 20 churches, 2003, 30 churches, and number of churches are increasing. And you also take the statistics of the bars that is opened. And in 2010, some 100 bars were there. 2001, 100 bars were there, and 2002, 120 bars, then 130 bars. So can we say the number of churches built is related to the number of bars that is opened in the city? Can we say that? Type yes or no in the chat box. No, definitely no. This is what I mean by, if you see, just to see the diagram and relationship, don't just blindly say that there is a relationship. Okay? Right. Awesome. Thank you very much for your active participation. Now, limitations and considerations. Challenges of the scatter diagram is it is less familiar compared to bar, pie, and line charts. How many of you agree with this? Type agree in the chat box. If you're super agree, type SC, super agree in the chat box. It's not very familiar. Very few people use that. There is a risk of misinterpretation because sometimes correlation does not mean causation. Just because two variables are correlated, you cannot mean that there is a relationship that exists. So must explain scatter diagrams effectively. The role of Six Sigma experts is to ensure that they explain scatter diagrams effectively and ensure the correct interpretation to avoid incorrect business decisions. Okay, now I will quickly take you through how to do a scatter diagram in Excel. Okay. Now, if you have a data here, two data are there. What are the two data? Can you see the data? What is on the right side data? I'm just asking you to type because I want to make sure that you're seeing my screen. Okay, defects, correct. And what is on the left side? PPH, parts per hour, right? So parts per hour and defects. Let's see how. So I have put a simple data, and I would like to put the scatter diagram in Excel. Okay. So to create a scatter diagram, you will need to highlight the two sets of data that you want to compare. And after that, in the Excel, if you see under insert, there is this scatter chart. Okay, under this chart, there is a scatter. Okay, I'll share this presentation with you so that it is handy for you to refer and do it. Okay, use Excel formatting function to edit colors, titles, labels, whatever that you desire. After that, then you will see that there is a correlation between these two. Okay, so the scatter diagram shows a relationship between production volumes and errors. When increased production may cause more errors, causation cannot be assumed from the graph alone. That is important concept that you should remember. Statistical testing is required to confirm if the correlation is valid. Okay, always validate correlation with statistical test before drawing conclusions. That is a Six Sigma best practice. Misinterpretation can lead to incorrect business decision. So regression analysis is something what I had taught you in the earlier sessions is something that you can go ahead with this. So far, if you found it interesting, useful, valuable, fantastic, awesome, put it in the chat box. I wanted a lot of people to get interested, excited in this as we go along, and I wanted to bring to you some question answers. Okay, are you ready? Type ready in the chat box. Good. Okay, so these questions are just to quickly test your level of knowledge, whatever that you have seen in the few slides. So it's very easy. What is the primary purpose of XY scatter diagram? To compare categories of data, to identify relationship between two variables, to track the data trend over time, to display charts of the whole. So what is the primary purpose? Let's quickly see in the chat box. Yeah, fantastic. To identify the relationship between two variables. Congratulations to all of you who have typed BBB in the chat box. Okay, and chocolates to you. And make sure that people who are here for the first time attend my upcoming session in the link what I put in the chat box so that you can get an internationally recognized certification. If you want an internationally recognized certification, you should click on this link and join. I'll tell you how to get a certificate, internationally recognized certificate. So don't miss to join this upcoming session. Next question is, which of the following best describes an XY scatter diagram? A chart that connects data points with lines, a graph where data points are plotted based on two numerical variables, a chart used only for time series data, and a diagram that represents hierarchical data. Okay, so let's see who can answer this question quickly. Who is the first person to answer? Oh, there comes a graph where data points are plotted with two numerical variables. Fantastic. So good. Most of you have answered it right, and congratulations. And don't miss to join the upcoming webinar if you're not certified. I want each and every one of you to get certified. Okay. And the last question here in the scatter diagram is, what does downward trend in the XY scatter diagram indicate? Positive correlation between variables, no relationship between variables, negative correlation between variables, and constant relationship between variables. Let's see who quickly answers this question. Yeah, most of you have typed C, so C must be the right answer. Congratulations to each and every one of you who typed C in the chat box. With that, we will move to the next one, which is creating XBAR control chart using Excel without statistical software. Okay, how many of you are excited? Type excited, XITED in the chat box. Of course, I'm showing on the screen Excel. Okay, how many of you can see the screen? Just type can see in the chat box if you can see the screen. How many of you can see the screen? Just type can see in the chat box. Okay, a lot of you can see the screen. Some of you, I think you need to adjust. On the top left of you, there is a meeting. There is, presentation. All of you should learn how to see the presentation view, okay, in Zoom. That is also one of the learning. Okay, fine. Control charts. Control charts are something like this, okay. There is a variable which goes up and down. See, these are all the data points which varies over a period of time, and it has to vary between a limit, okay. On the top, we call upper control limit. On the bottom, we call lower control limit. Okay, the average of this is called as a mean. Okay, and we always wanted the data points to appear between those limits. All of you type UCL and LCL in the chat box. UCL means upper control limit, LCL means lower control limit. For different types of charts, there are different formulas, but I'm going to use a simple formula of upper control limit, which is 3 times sigma, lower control limit, which is 3 times sigma below the mean. That is a simple formula that I'm going to use. You can use different formulas also. Okay. Okay, right. Now, the XBAR control chart plots the mean of sample over time, or the means of sample over time in the case of an active process. So XBAR control charts are one of the most frequently used control charts, and some control charts also can be created using Excel. Okay, that's what we are going to see now. So create a following template in the Excel sheet. Okay, for this reference, I have created something for you. Okay, I will share that with you. Okay, I'll quickly go through this and then share that Google Sheet with you. Okay, so you can have the data points here. You can have UCL, LCL, like a template like this. Okay, if this is clear, type CC, crystal clear, in the chat box. Okay, and then in G1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually shift between. I will share this Google Sheet with you, but I wanted to open this Google Sheet so that you can see this. Okay. Okay, so I want to shift between this and this. Okay, so can you see the Google Sheet? Type GS in the chat box if you can see the Google Sheet. Okay, okay, you can see the Google Sheet here. So if you see here in the standard deviation, I have put this formula STDEV, and upper control limit I have put 3 times the standard deviation, that is H5. What is H5? This is the process mean, which is the average of the data point, which is B2 to B5. Okay, B2 to B5. I will slightly increase this so that you can see a little bigger. Okay, let me see 150. Yeah, 150 is much better. Okay, so this is B2 to B15. Okay, and the process mean you can see from average, which is B2 to B15. And the upper control limit is the process mean plus 3 sigma, and the lower control limit is process mean minus 3 times standard deviations. Okay, and here in the upper control limit, I have copied this. I put $H$2 because I wanted the same value to come here completely, and I put $H$3 for the lower control limit to completely come in column D, and I put $H$5 for the mean to completely come in the column E. Okay, so if this is clear on a scale of 1 to 10, please give me a 9 or 10. I'll share this sheet with you after explaining this. Okay, fine. So most of you are absolutely clear. Thank you very much. Okay, now let me get your attention back to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, where you need to enter these formulas here, which I've shown here, standard deviation of A2 to A15. I've given you the references here on how to enter these formulas here. Okay, you can go through my presentation and enter, or you can just go through the Google Sheet, what I'm going to share. And after you do this, okay, like I explained to you, you can copy the entire thing here like this, and you will get this. Okay, now the point here is this. Okay, I will duplicate this. Okay, I'll just duplicate this just for helping you understand this. Okay, I will delete this. Okay, I will delete this graph for you. So all you have to do is I click on here and then pick this graph. Okay, I will go to this insert. I'll go to this chart. Okay, in the chart, I will directly get the line chart. Okay, and this line chart, I'll pick up this and I will say the point size the point is circle. Probably I can change it to a cross like tick here, right? I can pull down here and keep it here. Okay. And that's it. There is a three dot in Google Sheet. You will find the three dots. You can edit chart and you will get all these setups. Okay. Chart editor. If you don't want that, you can remove this. Okay. So this is what it is. So those of you who are clear on a scale of 1 to 10, please give me a 9 or 10 if you're clear about how to do this. Just give me a 9 or 10 if you're clear. 10 out of 10, you're clear. And those of you who wanted to try it yourself, just make a copy here. Okay. Try to make a copy here. I think you'll be able to make a copy. I think you should be able to make a copy. Let me also try. File, make a copy. Yeah, you should be able to make a copy. And then you should be able to do this. Okay. Okay. So if you found this useful, interesting, awesome, fantastic, just type it, whatever that you felt. Let me take your attention back to the presentation. And that's how you do it in Excel or Google Sheet. Since I've explained in Excel, I have shown you in Google Sheet also, because Google Sheet is also many things which people use collaboratively. Okay, thank you very much. Just give me a moment. Okay, now let me draw your attention back to the presentation, and we'll be adding some free data analysis tools today. Okay, there is something called as data analysis tool pack, and how many of you want to know how to add it? Type want in the chat box if you want to know how to add it. This is an extra bonus that I'm showing it to you because this is very, very, very useful. I found it very, very useful, but you may not find it in your Excel menu. So I strongly recommend that you put it if you wanted to do some basic histograms, basic correlation, regressions, and stuff like that. Okay. Excellent. So once again, I invite you to this upcoming session. Please click the link and come to my upcoming session if you want to get certified, because people need certification, right? Okay. Now, adding data analysis tools to Excel. For lessons covered in the next few chapters, you can rely on the free analysis tool available in Microsoft for Excel. Okay. To add this free tool in 2013 and higher, you can follow the steps. Okay. You see under file, just select the file here. When you go to Excel, you can select this file. Okay. Once again, select the file. And then once you click on the file, you'll see the option here. Okay. You select this option. Okay. That's the second step. Once you select the options, you will have add insert here. Okay. You will have add insert here. I've attached the screenshots because when you take this presentation and see, it will be very clear to you step by step. So select add insert. And after that, there is something called as an analysis tool pack. So locate this analysis tool pack under inactive applications add insert. Okay. The inactive application add insert. Now, if it is already added, it will not be available here. It will be inactive. Okay. If the analysis tool pack is located under active application add insert, then it is already active and you need not take any of the next steps. Then there is a go button here at the bottom of the dialog box, ensures Excel add insert listed in the manage box, and click go. After you click go, you will find this. Okay, add insert analysis tool pack and analysis tool pack Visual Basic. So just ensure that the option analysis tool pack is checked and click OK. Once you click OK, then what you will find? What you will find is, you will find under data. Under data, you will find this data analysis added here. All right. So check the analysis tool pack was installed by selecting the data from this Excel menu and looking for data analysis option. Wow. And that covers chapter 17. If you found today's session interesting, useful, fantastic, awesome, just type whatever that you felt